to start light, and we're going to start with this motion. Okay, so I'm going to meet this motion here, come underneath, tap the elbow. It's 3 motions. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. Okay, so first the barrier, and I'm not just moving the arm, I'm moving me and changing, and then clearing the barrier so that I can hit of my own. We work this as a flow so that we have the ability to just rep this a lot. Details I'm looking for is I'm looking for good hits, low elbows when we can, and then this contact point here where I'm taking kind of these 2 fingers like a dish rag and just kind of dropping them into here. Okay? Boom, boom, right here. Just right in. And there's a lot of different ways that you could think about doing this. I like to think towards the body because that starts to control the arm, and depending on where her other hand is, can even be in the way of the other hand. Once contact is started, proprioception can be a thing, and so you can close your eyes and you can work. All right, how are you gonna hit? You hit? There it is. And learn to feel what the body is doing. Good. Maybe? Let's try that. All right. Okay, so now looking at taking that motion and breaking it away from the loop. It'll still loop, but it'll become, instead of a symmetrical loop, it'll become an asymmetrical loop. Okay, so a second ago we had a symmetrical loop. She goes, I go, she goes, I go, right? And I want to look at how do I flow, how do I move? And you'll notice that I change space a lot. If I can't get to the outside enough, I'll pull to allow this to have a place to go, and then I'll enter back in. Sometimes just moving allows them to extend more, which gives you the arm, because people naturally try to hit things, and if you move, then they just try to hit it more. Okay? Other times, if I can, keep going. I'm trying to pass more underneath. Okay? Maybe? Questions so far on that, because we're changing.
Water?
Yes, absolutely. Water. Questions related to the drill. By all means, I mean, it's Saturday morning. Grab water if you need water, when you need water. So now looking at making it an asymmetrical drill. So we're going to work off of punching instead. So instead of this empty hand, I think of this more as a hammer fist, right? Just dropping like a club. Okay? Because that translates to hitting with a club-like instrument, hitting with a blade-type instrument. So now we're just going to work the punch. So she works the punch, it comes outside here. Okay?
One punch.
That's fine. We'll just right here. Not necessarily. But I want to show when I cut, I'm doing the same thing. I'm cutting into her center and pushing that across, because that changes how her mobility is across her shoulders, which changes the next punch. Okay? Here. Okay? Not yet. Okay. Now the thing is, people tend to punch, and so this comes. I might not get to this motion. If I do, it's here. Sorry, I'm trying to punch you. You punch me. So you see that so far, this is the one we're doing right now. And this is where I do a whole motion, 1, 2, 3, then just a single motion to allow for 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. 3, 1. Same thing goes. It's really easy to practice just drill static. And if I do, then I go here, and then there it is. Right? Because she's even remotely good at punching, and everybody's remotely good at punching. That's period. People, if they want to hit something, they will. So here, I want to move. I want to create distance so that the distance it takes for her to send that punch, we'll keep going, sorry, is changing, okay? So, and we'll come back this way, That's a valid tactic too. You just guide that to your shoulder. So I change this distance so that she has to punch longer, which gives me more time to manage it. Good, fire them quick even. Why do I know she's likely to punch? Why do I personally feel that I've guaranteed she's about to hit with this hand, even if she wasn't intending to. Why do I feel that way? Okay, yeah, so it's prepared. It's all she has. Let's dig into that deeper, but yeah, go ahead.
Oftentimes people are not just going to go, I'm going to punch you, and they punch one time. They're going to punch twice.
Yeah, maybe so, but they might be like, bam, bam, right? They might go same side. So two things, here's where we're at. Here, one, by shoving this, if I get to here, I've given a strong signal that hitting again with this is gone. Okay? Second, if I'm doing a good job of this, I've also created a pressure where she doesn't want to lift her feet. So she's not likely to kick, right? Because if she goes to kick now, she knows that she's going to compromise her balance. Plus, I just don't feel that people actually kick very often in violent encounters. Only the people defending tend to, because it's how they get people off of them, right? They don't even have to know how to kick. They just go, I need from me to you out of here, right? But I don't tend to see a lot of people attacking and go, bah, bah, and then this is just how they go attack somebody. It's not. They get a hold of them, they grab their hair, and they just, bah, right? So, but I want to point out that I am shutting that down. So here, when this comes, I'm shutting that down so that I've pretty much guaranteed that this or this is all that's left. Okay, so now that comes, and I come here. All right, the next couple, hit it. If you get it, you win.
I'm not going to get it.
Good. Okay, posture is everything. If I build a posture of chin forward, I'm going to get hit. That whole time, she's in here. She got a couple contact. Not enough to do stuff, but here, right? So if I had been sitting like this, guaranteed I would have added another 4 inches for that fist to just go through my face, right? So you notice that posture it wasn't leaning, it was just posture back. I'm creating as much shape. I actually still got my chin down. It's still inside my shoulder line, but we're working. Cool, let's try. Then no, then we're gonna move on. But I wanna talk about this first. Here's the detail of this, is we're coming here. The conversation was, I feel like I'm late to the second hand. Okay, so sorry, and I'm punching you. So I punch, and then late to the second hand. Things we talked about that affect that, coming back this way. As I punch, what we can see is an effort to push on this that takes that shoulder away. And now it's miles away from this. So instead, as she punches, she wants to be more structure, more triangle, right? So as she presses this down, this stays close, okay? So the distance has changed. Distance equals time, period, end of story, okay? Second thing is looking where my hands are at. I'm not necessarily dropping this back. I'm actually coming out. I know where her hand is, and I'm making her hit past me, okay? So I'll turn just a little bit more. See how she has to come past my hand? So I'm not coming where I'm just trying to snatch it out of the air. I'm forcing her to come through my space. Does that make sense? There's another way. We're going to look at 2 ways of doing that. You like that? There's 2 ways that we'll look at that you can also do this, which is I come here and I come here. Okay, so we come 1, 2. Go ahead and throw that hit. Okay, and I just stop the shoulder. Okay, so I know where it is. It's right here. Okay, this obviously gives the ability to start working into places if I need to. I've started to control that and I've changed the situation. The other is here. So 2 punches, bop, bop, bop. And I just don't even worry about that. She's punching past it, I hit her. Okay, I'm choosing a slap. It could be a punch. The Wing Chun variation would just be I here. Okay, so boom, 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 boom. Right? And I'm changing. So I'm taking off the line. I'm doing 2 things. I'm not just doing this and hoping this is enough. She's twice my size. She'll just blow through my arm. Right? So my angle is changing. So that where I was is no longer. And now I've got my target here. Boom, boom, boom. Right? So we come here. Blah, blah, right there. Disruptions are also a thing. If I change the situation, their situation changes. Okay? Depending on how locked in and focused they are on what they want to do, determines whether or not they'll be aware of the change. It changes, but it might take time. And so it's not like there is a reality to sparring on the mat. When we work with each other, 2 things are happening. 1, we know we ultimately don't want to hurt each other. And 2, we know what's happening. Right? So we have this situation of change. So if I do this, it's easy for disengagement to happen. And it's why I feel so strongly about how pain compliance works. Because pain compliance relies on their ability to feel pain. When we're working on the mat and we're playing around and we're having fun and I go in and I come in here and I go, cool, whoop, and that hurts a lot, guaranteed if she's adrenalized and like ramped up, she won't even notice, okay? But we notice, so it feels super effective on the mat and it feels like a superpower. And I see that happen. Dojos that don't become aware of the fact that this is a thing slide into a place where the instructor starts to feel like a god, like a Superman, where they can do something, and the students start to feel like you just can't. Oh my God, they do these little things and it's everything, right? He can just pinch me right here and it just shuts me down. That only works because you're compliant, you're letting it happen, and you're so relaxed that your pain receptors are firing on full. Okay? We have probably all, I believe everybody in here has probably worked at a level at least once, sparring or training or in an actual situation with somebody. You know, could be violent or non-violent, just, you know, it doesn't have to be a bad situation, it just could be something where you got ramped up, where you got hit more than you realized, and the next day you were bruised up or banged and you were sore, but at the time you didn't notice. Well, that thing is the reason why just simple pain compliance is not a good tool. Okay? Asterisk. Places where that is the exchange, it is a good tool. So if I'm a bouncer and you're just kind of drunk and I come in and I kind of give you some pain and I say, let's go, you know, it works because you're not lit up, right? I mean, depending on the alcohol, there might be enough that you're not picking up on that. But situations where you're semi-compliant or compliant, pain is a good tool. It does work. But I see a lot of people believe that pain is something that can solve the worst of situations, and it's just not true. The way I put it is if it has to be felt to be functional, it's not. What I mean by that is if I come in here and I can grab and I can say, okay, I'm going to take, you've got this point here, it's got some weird Chinese name, I can take this and I can go right here and I can put her all the way to the mat with just that little thumb, okay? But if she resists and doesn't feel that, and I'm gonna dodge the point just so that she doesn't have to put up with that because she's not in that mode. But if that doesn't do anything otherwise, nothing happens, right? So people come in and they go, oh yeah, I just hit here, bing, right? Well, I would rather have this than a little like poke, because it's gonna work even if it doesn't hurt. Things that have to hurt to work are only gonna work sometimes. I'm not saying they don't work. They're just only going to work sometimes. And if you don't know when those times are, you might use them at the wrong time. And to quote another person, you can get really good at things that will get you really dead. Okay, if you choose the wrong thing at the wrong time and don't understand that it's not the right thing, it could make your situation worse.
I also feel like when you're going for those like really little tiny areas, the likelihood that you miss is higher.
Missing is higher.
Like you can grab my whole neck easily. But going in and going, I'm going to pinch this little tiny spot. and they're moving around. If you've sparred ever,
Yeah.
partner doesn't tell them. Like,
There's a big difference between me poking her in the eye and being like, bah! And me going, and then sticking my thumb in after I've got a hold of her head and I know where I can just slide around and then, right? But if I just try to hit it while she's moving around, it just might, that's when I break my finger on her forehead instead, right? There are things that change when that situation is there. And that's what I want to see and talk about, is the fact that pain, if I go right now and we're doing this drill and I just go, whap, and just slap her across the face, she's out. And I'm not talking unconscious. I mean, she is disengaged, pissed, she's out of the drill, she's gonna be going, the F is going on, why did you do that? And we're not playing anymore, we're not fighting anymore, like she's disengaged, I'm disengaged, the situation changed, right? Why? Because she didn't know things were happening right now, right? Now, if we were sparring and I went, boom, she'd be on top of me and light me up like a Christmas tree. Because the context is different. The context says, this is expected, and I'm not gonna let you do it, and if you do it, I'm gonna make you pay for it. But if I'm demonstrating and I just go, boom, and then she's going, whoa, I just thought I was standing here to help you teach this thing, do you think she's gonna go red? Absolutely, right? She's gonna go pissed. You know, a lot of things change. Your mental state determines how things work. Yeah? And the problem is, there are many schools. There are many good schools. So when I say there are many schools, I'm not saying that there are no good schools, and I'm certainly not saying that we're a good school. I try really hard to be a good school. And I try to make sure that if I have failings in what I do, that I'm trying to address them and change them. But there are many schools where they start to see these things, and because it always works on the mat, they believe it will always work. Well, if they work a desk job and they abide by all the rules and they're just never in bad places and they're just never in bad situations, then they will live their life thinking that this stuff works always. And here's what's worse. They will perpetuate that into people who might not have the same cushy life they do, and they'll walk into a bad situation thinking they've got a toolbox that works because they've seen it work 1,000 times and the guy that they trust believed it worked all the time, right? That's a dangerous thing. So if I tell you, hey, yeah, all you gotta do is just pinch their earlobe and this or that, and then you're in a bad situation, you pinch someone's earlobe and they go, not so good, right? You know, that's just like if she has her knife and I go, okay, all you have to do is hop back and hit this, and the knife goes flying, and then, bah. Every time people practice that, they also stop right here, right? And then when you go like this and you go, oh, wait, this isn't, start over. This isn't how this goes. You can't do it like that, okay? So you have to find the scars in your training. You have to find the things that aren't real and be aware of them. Ideally, compensate for where they're not real with maybe something else that makes them real. So like if I work this drill and I go and I'm not gonna beat her up, I'm not gonna bruise her arms like crazy, we're not gonna go hard. Now I might go over to those tires and I might work this and hit. I might go to that heavy bag and I might work this and hit. So I've taken the scar, which is not hitting hard enough, and I've replaced it with something that I can hit as hard as I want and it will never complain. And the two things together solve the problem, right? But it has its own problem. It doesn't move and it doesn't fire, right? So she's providing half, it's providing half. Together we have a whole, but neither one of those are good drills by themselves. They need to come together in order to be complete, okay? That was a lot and kind of off track, but that's just where my head went. We're just gonna look at 2 punches, bump, bump, bump. And in this case, we're gonna look at change of timing because she's going faster. This becomes the thing, okay? So here, instead of this hand switches from this job to this job. Okay? So all I'm doing, and we're gonna go nice and light just so we can work on the idea. In fact, I'm gonna create a space, and that's the scar. We're going light and we're creating space. So I come here, and as that second hand comes, ba, 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 ba. What I'm introducing is the idea, and notice that I'm switching this. And that doesn't matter because it just depends on which side I end up on. If I end up over here. What I'm introducing is the idea that I might not get to complete my full cycle of 3 things, right? In fact, I think very often, if you're not in a situation where someone is doing something big hit, big push, big grab, I feel like Hubad works, one of the best places it ever works is if she tries to reach for like my shirt to grab or something and I come here. That's one of the best places to put it. Somebody punching you where they just go, bah! It's really hard to do all of those things, which makes it not a good it's context. When do you use it, not is it good, right? So if I am doing something like this, I'm working, and that comes, then I change. Instead of trying to trap that hand, I switch. And that means sometimes I'm going to be on the inside, sometimes I'm on the outside. We'll get to those in a minute. Make sense? Okay, so that's the drill. Firing, but this time instead of 3 motions, I do 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Inside, outside. Maybe. Let's try. Go soft. Go smooth. Not necessarily slow, but smooth. Because what you're really trying to do is make sure that you're not engaging so much muscle and intensity that you can't actually react to when things change. If their timing changes and you're too fired on and you're not used to moving smoothly, then you won't actually be able to compensate for that change, right? And if they change on you, that might make what you're doing not work. So smooth it out. We can always add intensity. Yeah? Cool. And so the drill, in my mind, one of the first things you're getting out of the drill, one of the first gifts it gives you is the ability to use both hands. And the ability to learn how to position your body. Because if you turn too much, both hands aren't the same length anymore. And so it kind of forces you to start squaring off, keeping elbows tight, and having both hands within range, which also happens to be in your own center, which also happens to be in tools. If you carry tools, I always recommend they kind of live in this space. So now as I'm working, if I'm working here, you know, if I'm left-handed, that might be my firearm, right? Now, I wouldn't do that from the inside. It's a bad place. You know, I wouldn't do that from in here and be like, this is where I go. Now I need to cross my own arm and deal with that hand. Try to get over here or something, right? But recognizing your ability to get to tools, but also just change. And that's what we're going to do next. Okay? All right, let's change. We're going to do one of my favorite things, because why not do one of my favorite things? So what we're starting to look at is just an exit to the drill, just a way out. The drill itself is a moment in time that is exercising just a very specific set of movements, okay? And all it really is you could call it alternating, but the word that I like for it is replacing. In the very first drill, Hubad this way, and all of these are Hubad, when I come here, I have this contact, it's on the inside, I'm replacing this hand with that hand, okay? Not only am I replacing this hand with that hand, I actually replace which side I'm on. So I was on the inside, now I'm on the outside. That's an important concept because changing my situation helps. But I'm always working. If I get to a place where I'm hitting, it's back to replacing. I punched your chin, I punched your chin, I punched your chin, I punched your chin, I punched, you know, just working, replacing, and keeping both hands going. I'm learning distance not of just me to you, but distance of this limb and this limb to you. Because if I fight you angled, this doesn't reach. So I'm learning to keep, if I can touch with both, so if I go, then I guarantee you can't do that if your angle is bad. So the drill is forcing you to create a good body position. This body position is important to me because it has my center focused on you all the time. And if you watch any time we spar or fight or that kind of thing, as I'm moving, and we'll just kind of move around, I'm always keeping my center pointed at her, unless I'm baiting. That's a different, right? Baiting is the game. Baiting is not something, I wouldn't want to do that in a bad situation. Because baiting means you're creating an opportunity for them and then taking it away from them. Well, if you're in a bad situation, why create a bad opportunity? Create an opportunity for them and then hope that you get the chance to take it away. It's not a good plan. It's just not a good plan. So baiting, so if I come in here and I start turning around and she thinks she comes in, I go, ah, right? That's good for the game, but it's not good for what I would want to actually do. So instead, I want to always be, and if I move, if she moves on me, she cuts this angle, I change. So no matter where she tries to get around me, I keep centered on her, right? Even if I'm moving around her, I'm keeping my tools pointed. Okay, I just think of going elbows in, fingertips touching, and just go, can this point? Bah! No. But that's what I'm thinking about. In other classes where we're wearing a belt, I just tell people, think about your belt knot. Is your belt knot pointed at them? Because if I'm here, my belt knot's pointed that way, some of my tools are not pointed to you. I can point these ones, but these ones I can't. To be able to do that just isn't going to work. So we're learning some of those things. But so now we'll just play with just one of the things that I do a lot when I come out of this is this. So we'll just look at that. So as I come in here, we're working this. I have this, and we'll just maybe take it off of this drill. And what I'm looking at is coming in. Okay, so we come back. So as this comes in, here. Okay, so instead of this hand being before, what did we do? We went 1, 2, 3, hit. And now I'm saying, yeah, it's fine, hit. Okay, because I'm going to step and turn, I'm going to touch right here. Okay? Person falling to their back, their hands and feet start thinking about how to keep themselves to the ground and safe while I punch a bunch. Unlock bunches of punches. Okay, so boom, here, here. Sorry, maybe get the choke. The thing that's important is I can obviously just kind of come in, boom, here, and just try to lock into something like this. Her ability to fight exists. She's got elbows, she's got feet, she can be scraping shins, stomping insteps, kicking groins, any kind of thing, right? So that's one bad situation. The other thing is from here, if I don't have it locked, she can just turn and face me. She spins this hip in, and now we're bad in a bad place. She can start hitting, I've lost everything. So I want to at least find the hip. And there's different places you can do this. I see people do it here. 2 reasons why I don't, and I'm not saying it's bad, it's just why I don't, is it's a smaller target, and it compromises one of the things I need to stand up. Right? My goal is for them to fall. If they fall and I don't have good balance, we both fall. You notice how when this works, she falls and gets hung from my arm. I don't really want to fall. I can, and I could pull back mount and just start choking from the back or something like that. But realistically, I want to stay up. Okay? So I think about this hip. The other thing that does is I find, and we turn, can you turn and face me? Yeah, you have to go that way, right? Because go the other way, right? I have some control over which direction she can turn. So now she has to turn. Go turn the other way. That's helpful for me. I'm not going to wait that long, but by doing that, I'm controlling. It's just like we'll do this sometimes where we get behind people, and if she starts to turn, I push on the shoulder that's turning to keep her from being able to turn around. So always facing and just making sure that whatever she needs, I take away. Okay? So we're just going to look at coming through, sliding in. Notice I haven't gotten rid of this yet. Okay? I slide in. This hand just slides down. It's just on my hip, locked in. And then I turn. My tools face this way, right? I face her. I'll try not to lock that. It's tight. And when I come down, tuck your chin on this one because it's going to suck more. Because the way that I execute this, if I need it to be functional for me, is as I come through and down, I'm holding her by that. I'm not going low enough. If I'm trying to control somebody that I want to keep safe, but I'm also trying to keep them safe from maybe themselves or something like that, then I might go down with them and then I'm just worried about control. And so I go down with them to keep the pressure off. If I need that situation to change, if I stay up and you stay down, you've got to figure out how to stand back up while you're hanging by your own throat, right? So that gives me different control. It's a good place to go if I think there's more than one. And I need to put there, it's a good way to put somebody between you, right? She has tools, it's a good opportunity. I might be able to take the tools. In, here, switch. Okay. This is all I'm doing. I'm going 1, 2, here, and then I'm turning around, I'm adding a push, but then ending up here. These are the only real positions my hands are in, and I'm staying good posture, and I'm bending only when I need to create a right base. Maybe? Want to try it? There we go. Okay.
I
I'm gonna go super fast. You ready? We start with this. You have an ice pick, that's a weird way to do that, but that's a slash, and there we go. You have a reverse grip, that's a slash, that's where we go. And I start working that hand out right away. We come here. I don't know why you would use two hands. That's fine, don't care. Then I have the other hand, okay? We switch. I have the options of if I had the knife. I come through here and I work. And I can work all of these drills with the knife too, including the last one where we come here.
Oh, that's bad for me.
And we change because it looks like this. Hooking, slashing, wrapping, taking down. As I take down, you notice the tip of this is where it is. Okay,
It was
so
over here.
just some perspective of how the knife gets involved if you start looking at, if you had a knife and this was happening. Okay, that hand is, nothing that we do changes. And listo, on pull the hood.